So just waiting for a few more people to join us. Today we are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So hopefully our audience will be joining us from all over the world. So yes, okay, let's get started very soon. All right. So are you guys excited for today's session?
That's us.
Yes. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm ready to go.
You're right.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic. I think we'll get started because you can watch the replay if they missed the beginning. So I'll get started. So welcome everyone to No Ordinary Life. Today we're going to be talking about purpose with our guests Adenike and Crystal. You get to find out a little bit more about them after I do my introduction. But for now, if you're new to No Ordinary Life is basically a careers motivation platform, and we aim to inspire people to pursue their purpose, passions, goals, and interests. So no matter where you are in life, wherever you are, we are behind you, and we believe that your purpose will come to pass. We are a Christian organization, and today our talk on purpose is going to be from our Christian perspective, but we are open to other views because we believe that purpose is fundamental to every faith and even anyone in life. So hopefully you get to learn a lot from our session today. So I'm Claudia Newton, and I'm going to be hosting today's session. So before we get into the main bit of our conversation today, we'll start with introducing our guests. So I have here, I'll start with Adenike. If you can introduce yourself to our audience, that would be fantastic.
Oh, fine. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here on this Purpose Live Talk with No Ordinary Life. I'm Claudia and Crystal. I'm Adenike Nosiru, as I have been introduced. I'm a purpose-focused leader. And what I do is enjoy helping people to discover their personal uniqueness, their strengths, their potential, and to help them to be leaders in every sphere of life. That's a bit about what I do. I love to inspire, I love to encourage, I love to mentor, and I love to help people to bring out what's on the inside of them to fulfill their life mission.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Adenike. And next we have Crystal. Crystal, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Crystal Debet-Ekoli, and I am a career coach at Varai Career Coaching. And what I do is I help professionals to transition into more suitable careers so that they can have the lifestyle and the fulfillment that they're looking for. And I also host a podcast called the Change and Transition Podcast, just help people with everyday career questions and share my insights based on the work that I do. That's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Thank you very much both for joining us today. So we have a career coach and podcast host, and we have an inspirational speaker and writer. So today's session should be very, very exciting. So we have a few questions here. So before we begin, I have an excerpt from a book I've been reading, and it's from the book 5 Wealth Secrets. And this should introduce our topic on purpose very, very well, because most people think that purpose is linked to what you do for work. Others will say purpose is something that you are born with and you get to find out as you go on in life. So I'm just going to read an excerpt of the book. So it's from 5 Wealth Secrets by Craig Hill. And he says, I travel a fair amount in my business. Many times I have initiated conversation with people sitting next to me on airplanes. Sometimes I have a conversation with seatmates very similar to the following. What do you do for a living? And they will reply, I work for such and such a company. So with that being said, what is purpose? What is purpose? I think I'll begin this by asking, we'll start with Crystal for this one. Crystal, what is purpose? Is it what you do for work? How do you know what your purpose is?
Yeah, so hey, thanks for making me go first. I'm just joking. So I think purpose it's such a big topic, and I think the obvious one is purpose is about the reason why something is made. It's got a purpose. So, for example, this bottle of water, you use it to put water in it and to drink from it. So that's one way of looking at it. But when I think about purpose in life, I feel that it's something that is already within you. It's something that everything that you do flows from. So what makes you wake up in the morning, the decisions that you make, the partner that you choose, the friends that you have, the places you go to, I think it just directs the direction of your life and where you want to go. That's how I see purpose.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Crystal. So it's basically what something is made for. Okay. Thank you very much. Adenike, anything else to add to what purpose is?
Of course, I agree with Crystal that it's the reason or the purpose of which a thing is made, like a microphone is made to amplify sound. However, as us being living organic beings, I would want to look at purpose with 3 elements, which is the fact that you are alive on earth for a purpose. You carry a uniqueness. The first element is the fact that purpose is bigger than just a goal. It's bigger than just maybe I set one goal for a year. It's much more than that. Purpose is something that reaches other lives, other areas. Purpose is also something in terms of the problem you're meant to solve, the question you're meant to answer. That's purpose. And then another element of purpose is the fact that although people are always looking for their purpose, in quotes, one big thing that they should do on one big stage, I see purpose as a thing that is in stages of life, as assignments per stage that takes you to the big one that you're actually looking to, that you might not even know, but you know that wherever you are, there is a purpose for where you are right now, what you should be doing, and what your assignment is. That's how I see purpose.
Thank you very much. Wow, 2 very, very good answers. And the fundamental purpose for which purpose is what you're made for, and something that you also discover in stages. So a good question to follow up with this is, so in terms of what you do for your work, and even as you've gone through life, what kinds of conversations have you had with people on this topic or issue of purpose? So I'll start with you, Crystal. If you can recall conversations you've had about purpose, can you share with us, please?
Yeah, so as a career coach, you can imagine that I get a lot of people coming to me because they have purpose questions. So typically it will be someone who they have a particular passion towards something, but that passion doesn't pay very well. And they're struggling between, do I do something that pays me well, or do I follow my passion or my purpose? And so people get caught between, which one do I do? And the reality is, your career, I don't think, is actually your purpose. I think it could be an expression of it, but it's not your actual purpose. So having those conversations is quite interesting, and people come to different conclusions. Some people will say, okay, I will end up going to work for money, for more money, for whatever reason, and then on the side I'll volunteer or something to do something more purposeful and meaningful. There are also some people who are able to, their passion actually pays them very well, or it doesn't to start with, and then later on it does. So they're the kinds of conversations that I typically have with people around purpose and careers. I also just wanted to mention as well that on the podcast, I have interviewed people who have actually been able to make their passion pay them. So there's one with Dr. Sam Collins about how to have a purposeful career, one with Lindsay Nadler about making your passion pay you, and another one with a good friend of mine called Crystal Kaibi, who has, she started off in law and is now working in music and doing incredibly well. So if anyone wants to get some inspiration from that, I would certainly look at those episodes.
Okay, very interesting. We'll definitely make sure that we tune into those podcasts, because we do want to find out how someone can change from law to music. Okay, so we'll go more into the question of how do you find your purpose. But Adenike, anything that you want to add to that? What conversations have you had regarding purpose, on the topic of purpose?
Someone comes up because we run workshops in terms of your strengths and income streams, and then your strengths in terms of leadership, and some of the things that have come up are some of those things that Crystal has mentioned. you're working in a certain way, you don't actually think that maybe you can make money from it. But my emphasis is the fact that until you discover your uniqueness, you're not going to be able to harness everything that you have. So once you discover the fact that even though you are a singer like a friend, but you're a singer who can do a different type of music to a different group of people, this is about your niche and your strengths now. That's where you begin to find what you excel in. When you find what you excel in, you find that when you show excellence, you bring leadership to the forefront because you begin to solve problems. And that's where money is attracted to the value that you provide. So those are the kind of conversations I've had in terms of.
Wow, very interesting. So purpose is uniqueness, basically, the unique part of you as well. Okay, so I'm getting two definitions here. Something purpose for which something is made, the reason for which something is made, and also your uniqueness as well. Okay, so on the back of that, why is purpose important? We talk about purpose all the time. In church, Christians, the pastor will talk about purpose. Why is purpose important? Why is it important for people to know what their purpose is?
So going by what you have said, I'm actually going to refer to one of the things that Crystal mentioned. She said something about the fact that it helps you to choose your life partner, your passions. And purpose is important because it gives you direction. When you know what you want to accomplish with your life, the purpose that you're meant to fulfill, it determines the associations that you keep. Because it's two things. You can make choices that will lead you to your destiny, or you can make and that destiny could either be the exact purpose or just something that you choose to do. So when you know what your purpose is, you know where you want to go, you know who you want to go with, and you want to know how you want to go. That determines the choices that you make and the things that you do. So purpose is that important.
Wow, thank you very much, Adenike. It's choices affect the choices you make. Anything else to add to that, Crystal?
I think that was perfect. That is exactly what I would have said.
Thank you so much. That was very, very well summarized. Direction and choices. So I'm writing down all of these keywords in my head: choices, direction, uniqueness, reason. So these are things that I would say summarize purpose very, very well. How do you go about? Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. There is actually something else that has come to mind.
Yes.
I think when people are working towards a particular purpose that they're working on at the moment, sometimes things don't go according to plan. And I think when you know what that purpose is, it just gives you more motivation to work towards it, because you know, okay, I'm going to reach this destination. I'm going to get there. It's hard now, but I'm learning something along the way. So I think that's another reason why it's important.
Thank you very much. So motivation. So I think we can make a word cloud with all of these keywords we can associate with purpose. I think I'll actually make that. I'll make that. So thank you very much for dropping these gems. I'm learning so much from it, and I hope our audience will also learn from them. So now the very important question, and this is coming to you first, Crystal. So get ready. So how do you go about finding your purpose? How do you go about finding your purpose? And how do you know that it's your purpose? As a career coach, you must have coached people. So what kind of questions do you ask? How do you go about it?
Okay. So I get people to do an analysis of who they are. So examining themselves, but honestly. So I get them to talk about, to explore their strengths, their values, their skills, their mission, to really look at these things. So what they'll do is they'll look at the jobs that they've had leading to this point, and look at the skills that they love to use, the things that they're good at, strengths, the things they have a natural affinity for. So I believe for me and Adenike, it's definitely speaking. It's something we have a natural affinity for. But then I ask people to look at that as well, their values. Why is it you want to work? You know, what is it you want from your work? Is it money? Is it that you have to help people? Whatever reason, I have like a list of different values I get people to go through and take them through exercises. So I get people to really do an inventory of who they are. I also ask them questions around what problems do you want to solve in the world? What things irritate you? What things you feel you have to do something about? What drives you? So things like that. And also I get people to ask family members, friends, trusted people, of course, because I think sometimes there are things we don't see that we're good about, that we're good at. So I get people to look at those things, and people want a definitive answer about what their purpose is, but the truth is, you just have to live your life, move towards the things that you think may be right. I'm a Christian, so for me, there's that extra element of faith and prayer, and so that's something that's important to me. But move towards something. Don't stay still. Move towards something. If it doesn't work, okay, reassess where you are. Go again. So I don't think people need to know, because I think that's something people really worry about. Just try, but make educated decisions based on who you are as a person.
Okay, so asking yourself questions like, what are your strengths, and I suppose what's your passion as well? What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
And then, as a Christian, you would apply prayer, and other maybe reflection and meditating,
Yeah.
and also I would say as well maybe things that you gravitate towards. Maybe certain types of music that you gravitate towards, certain types of documentaries that you gravitate towards. It could let you know if you're someone who's into environmental things, or nature, things like that. So that's just my little 2 cents there as well. So yeah, very good questions. Thank you very much. I will be doing some reflection after this session to find out what my purpose is. If I think, do I know my purpose? Anyway, that's another reason. As you said, you go live your life. Very important to live your life and not worry too much. And maybe I'd say if you have a pressing kind of thought on what is my purpose, then maybe it means that that's the time when you have to discover what it is. Because I think that sometimes God has a way of speaking to us, and you can be going along life as usual, but then you have times when you have deep thoughts about what's my purpose, like what am I doing at this point in time, and that could be God speaking to you, or if you're any religion that's a supreme being speaking to you. We believe in God, so we'd say God speaking to you. Anyway, I've talked a lot. Adenike, anything else to add to that?
Yes, a little bit in line of what Crystal said. I actually have a questionnaire as well, which I said I would be able to send out to those who attend. Another aspect of it is in terms of your convictions. Your convictions are the things that you believe strongly that you would not change or shift for any reason or anyone. And then what angers you, what grieves you, because that could be a directive towards the problem that you want to solve. In my question, I also ask questions like some of these that Crystal mentioned, but I also ask questions like, who would you want to do something with and make a difference in their lives? Or it could, for instance, I have a passion, a strong thing for young people in the season of my life because I'm doing a lot of mentoring and training. But then some person could say because something's happened in their past, that they have an issue with people who maybe have been bereaved, that they want to help in a certain way, that maybe they want to reach out to in a certain way. So you need to look at what grieves you. I mean, when you watch TV and you cry, what is it that you watch a documentary, you cry about it? It comes up in a movie, you cry about it. You need to pay attention to those things, your convictions, your values, and those kind of things. And then the things that pop up in your relationships with people or in your jobs, the different jobs you've had, the consistent things in terms of the relationships that you have. So then you can actually identify what are your strengths and what are the weaknesses that you do not tend to work on, but you need to work on the strength. Now, a strength is something that you deliver with near perfect performance. So when you're talking about the strength now, when you say Tiger Woods, you know what a strength is. You may not know the details, but you know it's in golf. When I say Michael Jordan, you know it's basketball, and now he's shifting into creating wealth. So when I call your name, what is it that people think about you? What word can they say? Is it that when they call your name, somebody says, "Oh, leadership," or they call your name, they say, "Oh, purpose," or they call your name, or they say prayer? What areas are the things that people compliment you about? And what are the things that you look at and you feel like, oh, I'm weak in this area? Then you need to know that if I'm weak in this area, I'm definitely strong in this area. The areas where people ask you to help them. or people talk to you about. For instance, now you've invited Crystal and I. There's a reason why you've asked us to speak about purpose, and you've not asked everybody under the sun. That's because you see this as a strength for both of us. So I would say definitely your strengths, and definitely even the things that grieves you, your convictions, and the things that anger you or upset you. You know, they just, in fact, people know that those things grieve you. Then you need to pay attention to those things, because that might be an area where you're meant to solve a problem or make a difference.
Wow. Thank you so much. Oh, gems. These are very, very good points. So strengths, things that convict you, things that grieve you, and also your weaknesses as well. As you're discovering your strength, which areas are you also weak at? Okay. So I'm just lots of words I'm using to summarize what we talked about. So in terms of our purpose, maybe you've discovered, you've had this reflection time, you've answered these questions. Next thing that we talk about is what can stop us from attaining our purpose. In fact, let's scrap that one. Okay, let's go to how is our job or our career or what we do linked to purpose. So I think I'm taking back that question. We'll come back to it. But how is our job linked to our purpose? And before you answer that question, Saru is saying, where can we get this questionnaire? So Adenike, where can they get this questionnaire?
Actually, we were saying that you were going to send it, but if you actually go to my link tree, you can actually see it there.
Okay, so Saru is
yeah,
fantastic. So Saru, Auntie Ade's link tree is underneath her name. So if you go to her link tree, you'll be able to find the questionnaire. Thank you for the question. Okay, I think, did we get the question or do I need to read it again?
How is career linked
to purpose?
Yes. Okay. How is career linked to purpose? And Adenike, you can go for this one first. We'll give Crystal.
Okay, I really thought you were going to grab Crystal for this one, because I mean, it's obviously her zone as well. Well, in terms of career, is like what we Elizabeth that has been said in terms of, would you want to go with your passion or would you want to go with money? How career is linked to purpose is the fact that the more you see the thing, the more you discover who you are and you understand your strengths. Because once you understand your uniqueness, then it helps you to go towards what you can do, where you will make a difference and not just make money. So I believe that this is a strong connection in terms of career. For instance, I've worked in the third sector for about 30 years. And I find that when you look at me, you would say, if you knew me and you knew the 3 roles, you would say I was doing the same thing. But I was not just doing the same thing, but I was using the same skills and upgrading on those skills until they became a strength. So the link with career and purpose is also the fact that in every career, because sometimes it might be like, oh, this career is not really my purpose, but it might be your training ground. So you go to a job, you're sharpening those skills, you're sharpening, you're gaining knowledge, because the strength is what you get from your skills, experience, knowledge, to make it something that you do with near perfect performance. So this is like you're scoring almost a 5 out of 5 consistently. So for your career, that might be the training ground. You're sharpening those skills, but you have not actually faced the purpose that you want to fulfill at large. You know, the big one that we're always looking towards. But right where you are fulfilling some little assignments in your career, and you're being trained for the next level. So you see that sometimes people go from one job, they go to another. It looks the same to you, but to the person who's pursuing purpose, they've actually been trained in one career so that they can be ready for the next career. So because we live life in stages, as we said. So for each level of your career life, or in quotes, you're learning something, you're mastering something, and then you take it to another level when you go to another job. So I believe that's the way you can link your career to your job.
Wow. Thank you so much, Adenike. Very good illustration. Thank you very much. Crystal, anything to add to that?
I think that was beautifully illustrated. That your career is pretty much it. You go through life and you pick things up and it develops and it grows. So there's lots of theory around it. Donald Super talks about the life cycle and how you go through stages in your career and you learn different things. It's another analogy that I was taught when I first became a careers coach, and it's about your career being like a bag, and every job that you pick, you pick up and you connect, you put in this bag, and as you go along, that's your career. The bag is the career. So I think that's a very good way to look at it. And I want to add another point actually to this, that your career is not your identity. It is not your identity. And the reason I'm saying this is because I know that people really struggle with this. If let's say someone lost their job tomorrow, they may feel they don't have an identity anymore because it's so wrapped up in their job. And so they may not be able to see themselves as something else. So when somebody wants to change careers, sometimes they struggle. They're thinking, but this is all I know. This is all I can do. But that's not the case. Remember, you've been picking up skills along the journey. So you put your hand in your bag and you take out the skill, the transferable skills, that's what we call it. So be aware of that. And again, I've done another episode on this because I know it's a problem, and it's called Career Change for Highly Skilled Professionals, because people become enmeshed. That's the term, enmeshed with their career. So please don't do that. You're more than your career. It's a training ground, and for whatever reason, if you're not in it anymore, there's something else for you, something that will move you towards your purpose anyway. So I think that's the point I wanted to make around careers, identity, and purpose.
I think that's great.
Wow, thank you so much. So very good illustrations. I love the practicality of what you're saying, and I love that bag analogy as well, because I think it's something that if people were able to envision, they would always want to fill up their bag. And even if you're in a job where you don't necessarily enjoy, you would try as much as possible to see the positive side of things so that you can put something into your bag. And it's very, very important that we're able to distinguish between our career and identity. And that's a whole other topic, because if we were to ask, I think we would even tackle, how to find your true identity outside of your job. That's another conversation. So maybe we will have to do that another day. But it's very, very important. Thank you very much for picking on that scenario, and because lots of people think about it. And it's actually a question that we can ask ourselves. If I was to ask someone to define to say who they were, how would they describe who they were without maybe mentioning their job, And this is where the purpose comes in, because if you knew your purpose, then you would define who you are based on your purpose. Yeah.
I wanted to just
Yes,
thank you. So I also have a tool. It's slightly different to Adenika's one, but it's about reviewing where you are currently in your career. So what are your skills, values, strengths, and mission? And again, this is something you can download and use it just to reflect on where you are and think about where you want to go to next. So I can send the link. Actually, it's on my website as well, which is next to my name. So I think that will be helpful if anyone wants to do a review of where they are at the moment.
Thank you very much. So I've put the links in the chat, so you should be able to see it. And also it's on Crystal, underneath Crystal's name, or next to Crystal's name. So VoraiCoach.com. Is it, how do you say it, Vorai?
That was perfectly said. VoraiCoach.com.
VoraiCoach.com. Okay, thank you very much. And then our next question is, in terms of what you do. Actually, before I keep going, feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat. This is an interactive session, so feel free to drop any questions. I'll pause my questions and take your questions at any point in time. So thank you very much for joining, and we're talking about purpose today. So my next question, also in terms of your line of work, is in terms of what you do. I'll start with you, Crystal. Why did you start what you do? Why did you become a career coach? And this is also linked to purpose as well. If you can define it in terms of what you think your purpose is. Now I'm going very personal now.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So for me, I think it all began when I was training to be a lawyer. Actually, no, even before that, when I was at university, I was one of the first people in my family to go to university, and I found the law degree incredibly difficult. I struggled pretty much all the way through it. But then by the end of my time at university, I started to work out how to do well. And by the end of it, I managed to get the 2-1 grade I needed to then go on to law school and qualify as a lawyer. And I thought to myself, I've got all of this knowledge here. What can I do with it? So I put it in a book. I just put it in a book. I didn't really think about selling it or anything. I just thought, let me just gather the information so that it would help someone else at some point. And then somebody said to me, look, maybe you should sell this thing. I was like, okay, fine. And then I ran workshops along with it. So it was about helping people to transition from school to university. That's what it was about. And I loved it. I loved putting together workshops. I had no idea how to write a book. I just kind of did it. And then all these other people started to help me. And I thought, wow, okay, there's something here. So I just followed that. And then I started to think, is law really for me? Yes, I'd worked really hard to do it. And yes, there were some aspects about it that I liked, but it was missing creativity for me, and helping people to make decisions for themselves and to do well by themselves, equipping people to do well. Because I found in law that, yes, I would help people, but then they come back with the same problem over and over again. And that really made me sad. It grieved me. I didn't like it. So that's what made me make the shift. Now, people thought I was crazy, but I did eventually find career coaching, which I really enjoy. So that's why I do this work. And I guess I focused on career change because this is an area that I think is meaty, it's interesting, and people really want to make a change, but they struggle. They don't know how to do it. What's the path? How do I do it? I've been there and done it. So I took it seriously, and I got a qualification in it. I work in it, and I sat and learned because I know I can make a difference. And because if I was able to do it with no training at all, then surely I could do it professionally and help people. I took a chance on myself. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. And I think people maybe who do come to me is because they admire that and they think, I want to do it too. Okay, let's do it. And I want to see people living the life they're meant to, whatever that looks like. I want people to live that life because I think it's so sad. We have such a short life. I think it's so sad spending it doing something that isn't purposeful for you. Maybe for a season you might have to, but as Adenika said, there's something in that. But knowing that, I think, will really help. So that's why I do what I do.
Wow, thank you so much for illustrating that. And what's the name of your book, the book that you wrote? Yeah.
Okay, this was a long time ago. It's called What They Don't Tell You About University.
Okay.
And then the
Is
second
that
one
on
is
your
What
website as well?
No, it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's not on the website. It's something separate, something I did some time ago.
Okay.
But it's
So
still
title,
available for anybody who's
the title
interested.
is What They Don't Tell You About University.
What They Don't Tell You About University.
Okay. And the second one you said?
What They Don't Tell You When You Graduate. So it's a continuation.
Ooh, I love the sound of that. Yeah, we need to do another session. Another session on what they don't tell you about university. It's very important. I think it's actually one of the reasons why we actually have no ordinary life. Because just finding that people go into university and then they come out and they're like, I don't think I want to work in this, in this field, or they find they don't really know what they're supposed to do even before they go to university. So
Yeah.
we need to have a second session, definitely, a second session on that. Thank you so much. And I have a question about the law, actually, the law. As Adenike, I'll come to you, but I just wanted to ask Crystal.
No problem.
Why did you study law? What was the motivation behind it? You could go to university, but why law?
I didn't really know what else to do, to be honest. I knew it was a good degree. I thought I'd be a lawyer. I wanted to argue. I think I had a very narrow view of what law was, and maybe I didn't fully understand it. And no one really questions me on it. I think because I'm quite a determined person, and I studied really hard. I don't think anyone really said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" They just kind of left me to it. So I think I did it for maybe the wrong reasons. Prestige. Yeah, but I mean, there were some things about it I really enjoyed as well. the kind of law I went into, it's not as lucrative. I didn't go into corporate law. I did legal aid work, so it was advocating for people across the country, and really helping them, being a voice for them, speaking for them. So that's what I chose to do. I tried corporate, it wasn't for me at the time. So that's where I was really at that time. That's why I picked it.
Okay, interesting. So I think on that note, it's anytime I hear someone's going to university, I'm going to question them on why they want to do what they want to do. That might make them think twice.
Yeah.
I should have asked myself that question anyway. Yeah, that's another conversation. Yes, so Adenike, your motivational page and what you do, why do you do what you do? Why did you start it in the first place?
Okay. I do what I do. The whole idea is to inspire people, to challenge people, to encourage people. As a young person and even older, I got to discover what really excited me, what I was passionate about. But one of the things I've noticed is that life happens and things happen. So I started up the page. I started that page because sometimes people are just down in the dumps about things that I think, in quotes, don't matter or don't count. And I also find out that when people don't know who they are, they don't know their potential or what they carry, then they make room for maybe bitterness or envy or jealousy. And when things happen, it's like what Crystal was talking about. If I don't separate myself from my job and I lose my job, then I'm depressed. But I can't actually stay there. I need to take the bag that I've been feeling, take something out of that bag and go in a different direction so that I can make something happen. So the other thing is that as a young person, I wasn't exposed much to mentoring or to people who really, really like help you to have it. My parents, of course, were there, but as a very, very playful person, I there were boundaries I did not set. And I just felt like those things are costly as you get older, because like she pursued 2-1, I could have had a 2-1. I didn't have a 2-1. I was in uni and I was playing, and I knew I was playing. So I just put the things that I do now, the page, the workshops out to help people not to make the mistakes I make. So I have a strong leaning in terms of the fact that sometimes people are not exposed to financial literacy, they're not exposed to leaderships, they're not exposed to entrepreneurial skills, and they're not exposed to mentoring skills. And these are all things that are available and are at disposal. You just don't see them because somebody's not pointing you in that direction. And so that's the reason why I started the page and the workshops that I do, just to help people not make the mistakes I make, but to also let people know that even if you fail or even if you come across adversity in any manner, in any form, you can rise up, because failure is an event. You are not a failure, but the event of whatever happened has happened. You need to rise up above it and make it a stepping stone to get to where you want to go.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. I love that the fact that you admitted that you were playing at university. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us were playing at university. There are very few of us who were very serious. So God forgive us. But hopefully we have our life in order.
Oh yeah.
Now. Yes, we do. And if you wanted to find out Crystal's page and Adenike's page, it's on their link tree, also in the chat as well. So you find their resources there. So just based on that as well, would you say that what you do now is linked to your passion? Is it your complete passion? I'll start with Crystal. Is it your complete purpose, not passion? Your complete purpose, yeah.
Well, the fact that I'm still going, I'm still living, I don't think so. I think it's a part of it. I still think I'm collecting things to put in the bag. I really enjoy what I do, but I still believe that there's so much more for me to grow. There's so much more room for me to grow, because I just think there's more going on. So yes, I love coaching. I'll definitely do it more and more. I'll definitely get better, but I do feel that there is more. I may be revisiting older things I did in the past that I might want to pick up. I'm very open, to be honest. Again, I'm going to go with some theory. Here we go. So there's something called planned happenstance. and it's a career theory, and it pretty much says that you don't necessarily plan everything, but you look at what's next, and you just kind of go with the flow. I know that's not comfortable for people, but the truth is we can't really control what happens. We think we can, but not really. And as Adenike said, life happens, and it sometimes forces you to change direction. Yeah. So I think I don't hold on too tightly to this is where I'm going. I think that's the mistake I perhaps made was more when I recognized it wasn't quite the right place for me. I didn't let go. I held on, perhaps longer than I should have. So I think I'm more open now, and now I know this theory. I'm more comfortable using it.
Thank you very much for sharing. And so my next question actually is based on a word that you mentioned, Adenike, on mentorship. So for you as my panelist, have you had mentors in the past, and how did it impact you in terms of finding your purpose or just developing in some area of your life? So I'll start with Adenike. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can point to my mentor presently. She's a speaker as well, and she's also very, very much into leadership and other areas. But I will start with my mentor before I went to her to mentor me. My mentor before her is actually late, and I worked with him in administration. But what he did was it put me out into areas where I was strong. So I found development. I found exposure. It actually put me out on platforms. It actually gave me opportunity to lead. As a person whose my core strength is communication. So I write, I speak, I sing, and then so he put me on platforms where I would communicate, and those places were the places I sharpened my skills in terms of not just speaking, but in terms of leading, in terms of doing other things. And I found out that in preparation for the next level, which I had no clue about, the next place where I went into, I realized that if I had not been in the last place, the next place I went into would not have been able to take me. They would have kicked me out. But in the last place, I had been trained, I had been pruned, I had been refined, I had been sharpened. So when I got into the next place, I began to just add and create value. I began to put things in place that were not in place, and I began to broaden stuff and build stuff. So I believe that mentoring, that's what mentoring does for you. Mentoring pulls you up from where you are to another level, because whoever is mentoring you pulls you up to where they are, the level where they have been on, the things that they have done. And also mentoring helps you to avoid the mistakes that somebody else has made. You don't have to experience it, but you can actually bypass that mistake because you already know that that doesn't work. This is how you can get this result. This is how you can go. So that's how mentoring has actually impacted my life. I'm a strong proponent for mentoring, because it's really, really important. There's just stuff you can't see that a mentor can help you to see, just by showing you a different path.
Thank you very much. And Crystal, can you share if you've been mentored before and how it's affected or impacted on you?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have been mentored, especially I think when I first stepped out of university. There was a lady that I met at a random event, really random. And she's also into leadership and training and human resources. That's what she does. And she taught me about professionalism. She taught me about how to connect to people, because I was, even though I might have appeared to be confident, I wasn't always. And she taught me those things because I didn't know. And she would take me along when she was at work, and I would see how she would run sessions. And she was so confident. She was great. I was thinking, okay, I can do that. And we're now, I wouldn't say she mentors me anymore, but we speak a lot. So that's lovely. And more recently, there's somebody that I met at an event, another one. It was a work event, actually. And I had to give a talk on an area that I was starting to develop around resilience and careers. So I was presenting it to the careers group. And there was a lady from the States who happened to be in the audience, and she approached me and said, let's talk. and she's pretty much taken me under her wing and been teaching me about how to be a good coach. And she's been training me. And you know, if she has a speaking engagement, she'll drag me along, or she'll say, "Oh, do you want to also join me?" I'm thinking, little old me, I don't know anything, but she's pushing me, yeah, and yeah, it's great. But I've had lots of different mentors. Also, other leadership mentors as well. When I was a younger person, where I actually met you, and obviously, we met before that. But you were there too. So yes, and the person you're talking about is an incredible mentor as well, somebody who really, really impacted me positively as well. So there are several.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And one thing I picked up from what you both said was the fact that your mentors exposed you. They really helped you to see more of the world. So if you were looking to go into this sector or this area, they were able to give you the exposure that you needed, and in a way that was practical. So they put you there and said, "This is, let's find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and let's work on them." So I would say it's very, very important to have a mentor or someone in your life that you can look up to and ask for help. It's very important, accountability, and it helps us to not get lost, or to put us on the right path. It's very, very important for people who don't have mentors. How what am I trying to say? So people who don't have mentors, how can they find people who can influence them? So I'm talking about maybe family members or friend, or even people books that they can read. Is that what's another way of gathering information or finding motivation for where you want to head to in life? I'll start with Adenike for this one.
Okay. Well, actually, I think it was Mike Murdoch who said that you actually start life with your parents as your mentors, because they teach you how to go where you didn't know. I mean, as a baby, you had no clue how to wash yourself. You had no clue how to brush your teeth. So in practical terms, they actually gave a measure of mentoring. But coming back to the place where you want to fulfill purpose and you want to do things, I would recommend reading. Some people say they don't like reading. With my current challenge with reading, sometimes now I go to YouTube University. YouTube University, there's nothing you want to learn about. Go to YouTube, somebody should be speaking there. And one of the things you can do is, as the names come up, because once you start a topic, YouTube begins to suggest people to you. You'll find somebody you listen to that what they say, even though you don't know it, you're learning it, but it resonates with you. You know that this is where I want to go. This is what I need to learn. There's that fact in you about a strength, because when you have a talent is something that you're naturally born with. Now it becomes a talent where you begin to know things about it that nobody taught you. So when somebody who's an authority in that area is speaking, they will say stuff that resonates with you. You just know that that's it. I thought that yesterday, but nobody taught me. Then those are the kind of people that you listen to. So you can go on YouTube and listen to people who know the stuff you need to learn. You can also read books. And then one of the things I do, you read something inspirational every day, or listen to something inspirational every day. Because even though you have strengths and you have the abilities, you have to keep yourself excited about what's in you and what you want to accomplish. So, and then the other thing is, if you know somebody, you can actually go to them and ask them to mentor you. Mentoring comes in different ways. For instance, if it's in an establishment, usually you might have a mentor assigned to you, or that kind of thing. But if it's outside that establishment, in some cases, if it's business, in some areas, you might have to actually pay the person for their services. They mentor you. It's not actually, and that means that it could be a bit of coaching, a bit of teaching. You might have to pay for it, but it depends on what you do. But go to YouTube, I'm sure you'll find somebody.
Thank you very much. Very, very. I love the YouTube University. It's verified by Adenike. Very, very good. Thank you for saying that. And we will talk about the other side of it as well.
Okay.
But for yourself, Crystal, anything that you want to add to what Adenike said?
I think just know what you need the mentor for, because I think sometimes people just love what someone does, or they love the image that the person has, but they don't really know what they want to be mentored for. So I think be very clear on that. What is it you need help with? Is it, what is it that they have in their life that you want to learn?
Yeah.
And make it clear so they know this is why this person's here. Yeah. So I think you need to be clear on that. And also, not all mentoring relationships will last forever. Sometimes it is just for a season because you only need to learn a few things. So I think you need to be very deliberate before you go to someone, because it's their time, isn't it? And I think, and it's something somebody told me, was that if I'm going to mentor someone, I want to see some sort of progress.
Yes.
So if you go to someone and you're being mentored by them and you don't do anything that they say, why are you going? So I think, yes, be intentional and be ready to do some work and grow.
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow.
I second that.
Yeah. So having a purpose for your for what you want your mentor to mentor you on, for mentoring.
Yes.
Very good. Very, very good. Thank you very much for sharing. So I'll take a question from the audience now. So if you're watching us now, feel free to put your questions in the chat as well. So a question by someone, they said, could having imposter syndrome be a sign that you have not found your purpose? So for those of you who don't know what it is, I kind of know what it is. Crystal, do you have an idea of what imposter syndrome is?
Yeah, you feel that you're an imposter. You're not meant to be doing this thing.
Yeah.
Everyone will discover that you can't do whatever it is that you say you can do. So that's what it means.
Okay.
Do you want me to answer the question, or
yes? So if you can ask the question. So could have an imposter syndrome be a sign
that I've not found my purpose? I don't think it is. I think it could actually be a sign that maybe that you have. It could just be that you're nervous, you're scared, you're fearful. This is something that can actually stop you from getting where you want to go. So if you do think you have imposter syndrome, do it. Do this thing that you're scared to do. Try it, get better, grow. If you need to find a mentor, as we've mentioned, go and get one. But I don't think it's a sign that it's not your purpose now.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Adenike, anything else to add?
I think what Crystal said is great. I get a mentor or get a coach. You might actually need a coach because you might already have your stuff within you. You just need somebody to help you come out. I think imposter syndrome, like what she said about nervousness, also could be a matter of self-esteem. So I am not really confident about who I am. So I'm thinking that people are going to say I'm this, or people are going to say I'm that. So I think, yes, like you said, you might actually be better off getting a coach, because imposter syndrome implies that thing's there, but you're afraid people will think you're not real. So you probably need something about self-esteem and coaching.
Thank you very much. I like what you both shared. Now, another question with that one is, sometimes people are not in places where they can easily find a coach or even if they did find someone that they think will be a good mentor to them, the person might kind of see as an opportunity to make money, like, I can't mentor you for free, my time is money, so I guess in that case, that's when they can, rely on YouTube University and books and whatnot. But yeah, maybe we can tackle this question or this follow-up one. How do you find a mentor? How do you approach them? What's a nice way of approaching a good way of approaching someone to ask for help? So yeah, we'll come back to that. And then on the back of what we've been talking about, I wanted to ask, what kind of things can prevent someone from attaining their purpose? So life experience, what kind of things can prevent someone from attaining their purpose? So I'll go for Adenike for this one. What factors?
Okay. I think 3 things that are major for me is a negative mindset. Until you think you can, you can't. The other aspect is a negative attitude. You find that I'm sure Crystal will be able to even chip in on this, that people could have all the skills in the world, but if they don't have a great attitude or a good attitude, they will definitely not be able to get a job or keep it. And then the third one is association. Um, wherever you go or whoever you work with determines where you actually get to. If you say you want to be a king and then you only want to do what paupers do, go where paupers go, you're not going to get to where you can get into the king. So the attitude, the mindset, and then association, because the friends you choose determine the place you end up. Those are the three things that can really hinder that. So, for instance, when Crystal was talking about uni and then she eventually got a 2-1, somebody else could actually go to uni, get involved in stuff that they end up in jail. That's not the same as a 2-1. That's not where a person wants to go. So your association does matter, your attitude matters, and your mindset matters. It's not actually what happens to a person, it's what they do with what happens to them. Do you let it fall on you and crush you, or do you step on it and make it a stepping stone to get onto a greater place?
Wow. Wow, that was amazing. So attitude, association, and mindset. Attitude, association, and mindset. Well summarized. I'm just using I learn best with words. So words can figure out, what the explanation was. So I hope you guys are taking notes who are listening to us, and feel free to ask your questions as well. Thank you very much, Adenike. Crystal, anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's fear. Fear, I think, can stop people from doing a lot of things, and it's definitely a question that I ask people in sessions. They can tell me what they want to do, and with respect, I say, so what's made you come to me? Because and really, it's just they need that push. They feel that they need that validation. That you don't need it. Take the step. I'm here to support you. Great, but you're the one who's going to make this happen. So it's overcoming fear with action. And something that I do personally when I want to achieve anything is, I'm a very visual person. So I will create a poster, or I'll write something down, and I will put it somewhere that I can see it. And whenever things aren't going according to plan, or I'm struggling, or it just seems like it's so far away, I look at it and I remind myself of why I'm doing this. I had that vision in mind, and I just encourage myself. But this is something I've built over the years, and I know it's hard. But another thing that I remember hearing about is someone said that what you should do is, in the good times, gather lots of information. So have like maybe a folder on your computer with motivational quotes, messages that you like to hear, pictures, anything, and have it all in one place. And when life does happen, because it will, go back to that, it will definitely. Trust me. I mean, just a few months. No, last month, I went to play netball and I tore my Achilles tendon. I'm currently out of action. I'm sitting here in a cast, right? You can't see it, but it's completely thrown everything. All of my plans they've all gone out the window, and it's hard. But look, maybe this is a time for me to sit and focus on something. Maybe that's why I can't really go out, especially in the snow. I don't want to fall. So yeah, I'm going to be out for the next few months. I won't be able to walk. So it's about having the right attitude. Now I'm having to go back to these things and remind myself of, okay, this is where I'm going. Yes, I'm delayed, potentially, or it might even be an acceleration, who knows? But it's your attitude and having things to fall back on. Also having great people around you as well. That really helps as well.
Wow. So you've basically echoed what Adenike says, and fear is a very, very, I think it's something that a lot of people probably stops a lot of people from attaining their purpose. And as you said as well, lack of the right people around you, people can sometimes really stop you from achieving your dreams, because they're like, oh, it's impossible, or they make you aware of what you don't have to be able to get to where you want to go. So this is where the mindset comes in. You have to have a mindset that's like, you need to have a mindset that says, I am going to do this regardless of who is for me or who's against me.
That's right.
So you need to have a solo mindset, a solo good mindset. I would say. And now, just to add to that as well, I'll say comparison as well. That's a strong one. Comparison. Comparing yourself to, to what other people are doing. I'm not as good as this person. This person is doing better than me. It sets you back a lot, because you're defeating yourself and making yourself feel, less of what you are. So comparison is a very key one. And I'll say as well, lack of consistency. You start something and then you stop it. That's also based on other factors as well, environmental factors around you. So these are all different things that we can pick up on. And association, mindset, attitude, very important, and being bold and brave. And mentors also help as well. Okay, so this is a contribution from someone. Let's see. Okay, so he says, Maximo says, always remember why you wanted to do it in the first place. The why informs your decision. The why which informs your decision helps. So yeah, the why. And I think the purpose is the why, the why is the purpose, and the purpose is the why, the reason why you're here. And Maximo, if you were here in the beginning, you remember what our guest said about, different stages in life. You might be going through a stage in life where your why is this and that. You get to transition to another stage in your life where the why is different. So the why has to keep you going for a long time, until the purpose for which you are there is established. So thank you very much for sharing that, Maximo. Thank you very, very much. So feel free to share your questions, contributions as well, are also welcome. So before I go to the next question, anything else that you wanted to add before I go to the next question? Okay. So this is a very, I think it's a difficult question, but you might be able to help me break it down. Can someone change their purpose by themselves? Is purpose something that's God-given, or is it person-given or individual given? I'm trying to say, can they change their purpose by themselves? Very interesting question, difficult question. If you want to also add as well, contributions are welcome. Who should I go for this one? Anyone want to take the question first? I know it's a difficult one. Anyone want to take the question?
I'll go. There's a certain direction I can take the question in. First of all, we established the fact that each person is unique. Like your fingerprints, your footprints, your teeth, your DNA. If you have so many unique parts in your body and in your life, then definitely you are unique. And then the strength is the fact that identifies that you have a unique strength. My strength, listen, we're both talking about purpose, but my strength and Crystal's are still different. And our assignments are still, we have moved into certain areas of purpose, as opposed to just the fact that we're doing the same thing. So what I would say about purpose is that you're uniquely wired with whatever your strengths and your giftings are to fulfill a unique purpose. That has not changed. However, the fact that a person can change their purpose is not that they can change their purpose, but they can change their destination. They can make the choices that will take them to their destination. So let's use Crystal as an example. When she was studying law, she got a 2-1. But somebody else in her class could have decided to do something different from studying. And by the time she got a 2-1, that person could have ended up in jail. So we could say that Crystal's purpose at that time, although other things will be added to it, but one of our core assignments was to get a good education. So if somebody in her school decided to do some different things and ended up in jail, their purpose didn't change, because the university didn't ask them to go to jail. The university didn't say don't study anymore, but they made choices that led them to jail. So they chose a destiny. The destiny is the destination that comes from your choices. But purpose is what you are wired and created to do.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was a difficult question, but you broke it way down for us. Thank you. And Crystal, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, my answer was going to be very similar. I was going to say that people have free will; they can choose whatever they want.
Yeah, yeah.
That was my only contribution to that, but it was beautifully said.
Wow. Okay. So destination or destiny, and then we have purpose. Also another one that we can talk about, for another one of those topics that's very, difficult for people to understand. If there's a difference between purpose and destiny, that's another conversation for another time. If we do a part 2, we will tackle that question there. So my I think is the final question for me, unless the audience have questions. My final question for yourselves is like, what kind of books or materials do you read to stir up your passion to fulfill your purpose? So what books, reading materials, what do you do to stir up your passion to fulfill your purpose? I'll start with Crystal for this one.
Okay, so there's a book that I have been reading. Well, I finished reading it now, but it's called You Owe You by Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker, and he brought out a book specifically on discovering your purpose and walking in your purpose. He's helped a lot of people with this for years consistently. So that's one book I'd recommend, and I'm currently kind of answering the questions for the second time. Another resource that I use is my own goals. So I look back at the goals that I've already created, and then I check in. Okay, how am I doing with this? Does it need to change? Do I need to do something else? Is this working for me? Because I think it's important. Why not read your own stuff? I think it's great to learn from others, but also track what you're doing. Because I think sometimes we fall into this trap of, I need to learn. But are we applying what we learn? So I think look at your own goals, ambitions. So I think the first thing is, if you haven't done that, do it. And finally, I think it's also what Maximo was saying is your why. So for me, it's my family, definitely. That's what spurs me on. That's why I make certain decisions. That's why I think I've become a lot more focused now compared to the past, because now it's like, okay, there's somebody else involved now. There's actually 2 people now. I need to okay, where do I fit in all of this? So I've experienced a lot of change. I'd say the past 3 years. My life has completely changed. And so looking at all of these things stir up my passion all the time.
Wow, thank you very much. You said the book that you were saying was You Owe You?
You Owe You by Dr. Eric Thomas. You can see it on Amazon.
Okay, Eric Thomas, You Owe You. So UOOWE. You Owe
Yes.
You. Okay.
Okay.
Owe you. I guess we owe you to fulfill purpose.
That's exactly.
It.
You owe yourself. You owe yourself. No one owes you. You owe yourself.
So it puts there is some responsibility on yourself to you have to
100%.
fulfill. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much for sharing that. And then your book as well I think is a good one for people who are pre-university and post-university even. So if you want to find the books, it's on Crystal's. Would the link be on your website, possibly?
Amazon.
No, it'll be on Amazon. I'm not sure if I can write here.
Okay, I'll look for it and put it there.
Yeah.
And put the link there. Yeah. Okay. So I like the fact that you mentioned your goals. Your goals will motivate you as an individual. And I mentioned the fact about comparison. We mentioned about, attitude, association, mindset, and fear as well. So your goals should really motivate you and not make you feel scared. They should motivate you. Some people feel scared when they see their goals because they're like, oh my God, little me, how can I do this? I guess that's where the faith factor comes in. And once again, another conversation for another time, because life circumstances can be very, very different from where you see yourself. And I think even before we had this meeting, we talked about Adenike mentioned Joseph, being whatever he was, and then dreaming about being a leader. He was like, so that's a conversation for another time. But our goals can motivate us. They should motivate us, actually. and make us see what the bigger purpose is for us. So yes, I'm Adenike, anything else to add
Uh,
for yourself? What do you use to
yeah.
motivate yourself? Yes.
Well, I like I said, I love to read, and even when that's an issue, I go to YouTube University, like you were said. I would the what I work on most is actually just keeping myself inspired by reading, and that's in terms of the fact that you just want to be somebody who wants to see the positive side of life, no matter what happens. Because when the positivity is not there, you're not going to be able to pursue the goals because your mind is going to be saying you can't do it. Oh, like you said, oh, poor me, or poor they, or whichever. So read to inspire yourself, to keep your mind alert, to keep your mind encouraged, to keep your heart encouraged. Then you can pursue any goal that you want to, knowing that at least you believe in yourself, you believe in others, and you can just go ahead. And for those who are faith people, of course, like you said, then you know that you can also pray and obtain strength from God. The other thing that I do is I'm a writer. And I write inspirational stuff. I have a book coming up called I Think, and it's nuggets and musings about my journey and the things I picked up on my way. That's going to be coming out in the first quarter of next year. And one of the things that I do, like Crystal's goals, is I actually go back and read my stuff. So in my stuff, I could say something like, until you think you can, you can't. And then so I need to rethink and think about where I want to go and how I can get there, and encourage myself. So I read my material to actually tell myself, this is what you said. You need to get going, doing this. So it's really, it's just like Crystal reading her goals and, saying, yes, I can go ahead with what I've written down. I need to go ahead with what I have said I'm going to do. So those are the ways in which I inspire myself. Now
Wow.
people can also inspire themselves.
Mm. Wow. So that's very, very I like the books that you've recommended. And Adenike, we're looking forward to that book. We need to have a
Yes.
session. In fact, we have to have a live when it's ready, so we can talk about what's discussed and have people be able to read and have
Okay,
access
I'll be
to
open
it.
to that, definitely. I'll make sure
Definitely.
that
I love
we
the
know.
title. What is it called again? I
I
think.
think. I think so. It's like the iPad, I think.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Oh,
I
I
think,
love that.
yeah,
Write that down.
It's
because
very
it's about
catchy.
the thought life, isn't it? So it's
Mm.
music from growing, going, falling, living, leading, leaping. It's just like things are picked up in different stages of life. So
Wow.
that's just what it is. So they're just nuggets.
Wow. I love
Yeah.
just from the title, I think we have to have a book club on I think. So
Oh
once it
wow.
comes out, we're having a book club.
Okay.
Definitely,
That'll be great. That'll be great.
definitely. So I'll put the link for Crystal's books in the chat as well. But we have some contributions as well, which I want to read. So Maximo says, let me put it down. He says, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Short-term goals to achieve long-term goals. So it's basically just breaking it down. There's a bigger picture to everything, but you want to make sure that you break it down in achievable amounts so that you don't overwhelm yourself with,
Yeah.
So it's smart goals, right? And
Yeah.
and having those goals also prepares you for the bigger purpose, because you're achieving them little by little. You're gaining skills and experiences that will help you to achieve that bigger thing. So when it comes, you're well armored for that. Thank you for sharing that, Maximo. Very, very good. Very good. And another question, is it question or contribution? Okay, so Saru says, as a Christian, we believe that we're here to fulfill God's God-given purpose. When someone passes on, what does that mean? Does that mean that they have fulfilled their purpose? Ooh, oh, wow. Wow. Okay, good one. Good question. Thank you, Saru. So, Adenike, we'll start with you for this one.
Okay. When somebody dies, have they fulfilled their purpose? First of all, because we don't know all things, sometimes we're not really able to tell. I know that when people, for instance, now when a woman who has 5 kids, she's had a good job and she passes away, people say, "Oh, she's fulfilled her purpose because she had 5 children." She might not have. She might not have. There are two things to this. When there is a vision, because remember, your purpose is bigger than just you. So it's possible that with a huge vision, like I'm involved in an organization where the two leading founders have actually passed away, and we're in another phase now. And you can actually tell that what's happening in this season is not what they were doing exactly. It's been a journey. So sometimes, if you have a big vision, if you really have a very big vision, you would know that you're not likely to do it all by yourself. So there's that aspect. When the person passes on, it might be that they fulfill their aspect of that vision and other people are meant to complete it. And then the second aspect is the fact that when you actually know people and you can see their strengths, you can see their giftings, and you understand some things about them, if it's clear that they have not understood who they are, then it's possible that they could have gone to the grave with the books in them, with the CDs in them, with the live shows in them, and with the knowledge that they shall pass on to mentees, or that they could have used to coach the president or to coach a prime minister. They have gone to the grave with them. So Miles Monroe says this, that the richest place in the earth is not a palace or a mansion, but it's the cemetery. Why? Because it's filled with all the things that people should have delivered to their world to make a difference, that they took with them. They didn't deliver them. So yes, people pass away without fulfilling their purpose. But I believe that it would be, there is a huge purpose for you to fulfill, but a person might just have done a teeny weeny bit of it. So sometimes we really can't tell because we don't know what they discussed when they were coming to us and when they left.
Wow.
So it's definitely possible.
Wow. Yeah, you definitely explained that one. It just reminds me of, in fact, that question reminds me of the book by what's his name? The Purpose.
Purpose-driven life. Purpose-driven life.
Rick Warren.
No, it's the other one, Miles Monroe.
Miles Monroe. They
He has
purpose,
quite a
something
few
about
different
purpose of life or something like that.
I have it here. I'll find it. It's not to me.
Okay. Yeah, it has a book on purpose.
several.
Yes. But purpose-driven life is good as well. I have started it. I need to finish it. And I like the fact that you mentioned that is sometimes your purpose is not something that you can complete in your lifetime. It's something that you can pass on, or it's meant to be passed on to the next generation. You know?
Yeah.
And exactly why parents are supposed to leave some kind of inheritance for their children.
Yeah.
You know? And as Christians, yes, exactly. And even as Christians is the perfect example. You know, Jesus Christ came, he did the base of what he had to do. And then he said, now this is you gave us a great commission.
Right.
You know? Continue. So this is what I've passed it on to you. I've done the basic one, not the basic. In fact, it wasn't basic. It was
Foundation.
The foundation. Now is your time to continue and to spread what I've started. So I love that. Thank you very much, Adenike. Crystal.
Yeah, I think what I got from that is make the most of your time.
That's it.
You know, because you don't know how long you've got, and you don't want to be one of those people who are in the cemetery filled with all of this stuff that you were meant to use. Because we all have to account really for what we did with our lives, right? So I think I just think it's important that you make the most of your time. It's limited, so rather than letting fear hold you back or other things, just keep moving forward. Do something towards what you believe your purpose is daily.
Thank you. Daily. Do something about what you believe your purpose is daily. Yeah.
That's right.
Small steps will end up, leading you to the bigger place. Very important. Right. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that. There's some questions offline, but I think we've answered them already. I've got some questions coming in offline, but we've answered them already. So we'll take them maybe towards the just as a conclusion. But it was my final question. Now, I guess my last will be some words of wisdom. Another person says in pursuit of purpose. I don't know if that's a title for a book.
In Pursuit of Purpose. I think there's a book. It
Okay.
might be. It might be.
Okay.
Maybe that's the
Well,
Miles Monroe book that we were trying to work out. I think that might be the name of it.
Maybe. I'm not sure. It might be. I think
might
that's the title of the book anyway. It might
Okay.
be.
It might be. Okay, that's fine. And I think we have one question here. Okay, so it's similar to what you've mentioned already. Yeah, it's about finding your purpose on earth, especially when you're overwhelmed with situations in life. And I think we've covered that. So I would encourage the person who's asked this question to re-watch from the beginning. We've covered that. We've covered that. So my final would be some words of wisdom for you based on what we've talked about today. Just a final, a summary of what you would advise someone to do, the next thing they can do after listening to this. What's the next thing they should do after listening to this? Crystal, what should they be doing after listening to what we talked about, our purpose so far? What should they be doing right now?
Yeah, so I guess what I already said, take action, take the time to maybe rewatch this. If you've taken notes, look at some of the questions that you've asked yourself and really think about what your purpose is. Whatever stage you're at, whether you have no idea, whether you have some ideas, whether you know, just think about how you can move yourself to the next stage. And if you're a person of faith, then seek God on these things, and move forward, because as we've all said, we've acknowledged, time is short.
Rightly said. As you said, small steps every day, do something towards your purpose. Thank you very much for sharing that. Adenike.
I would say whatever level or whatever stage you're at, on earth, go on a discovery journey, a self-discovery journey, regardless of what you know about yourself, because as you go along, like you find out that you begin to discover more things about yourself. You meet people and that unlocks something that you carry within. So take the time to discover, who are you exactly? And then what do you have? What exactly is your potential that you see that you have? And then, like Crystal said about going forward, start where you are now. Start solving problems with your passion, with the strengths that you have. What problem can you solve? What is it that you see as an issue that must be dealt with? How can you start dealing with it? No matter how little, what you can do is start where you are now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start where you are now and walk towards your destination, which is what you believe your purpose is. As she said, every day. Every day. Take a step every day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So we're going to round up very shortly. I tried to find your book, Crystal. I couldn't find it. So I'll give you the chance to maybe, if you can find it, to put it in the, if you have access to the chat, you can put it in there.
I can't write in it for some reason.
Oh, okay. If you can send it to me on the private
I did
chat
try
now.
before.
Okay.
Okay, let me look for it.
Okay, no worries. Or we can have it as a resource after the session in the chat somewhere. Yeah. So thank you very much for sharing. I've learned so much. I've picked up some keywords that would just trigger what we've talked about: uniqueness, fear. We want to have confidence and not fear, and faith, not fear. A reason for doing something, association, attitude, mindset. Oh, thank you very much. These are all things that would help us to accomplish our purpose in life. And I suppose we should be learning and doing something with what we have. We have our resources these days. We have loads and loads of videos on YouTube. We have loads and loads of books. People have written about purpose. If you type in purpose, you have countless books come up. So it's very important that we make the most of these books that we have available, and don't take things for granted. Everywhere you are in life is an opportunity for you to learn something. Even if you're in a difficult situation, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? it's difficult, but you have to gain something that you can put into that bag. So I'll use Crystal's example of the career being a bag. Take life as in fact, let's take life as a bucket that you carry, a bucket list. You want to have a bucket and put all of life's good experiences in there and be able to have something that you can show off to say, I've been through life and I've gained so much. And you also mentioned mentorship. If there's a way that you've been admiring someone for what they do because you're like, oh, I want to be like that person, I think it's the time to reach out to that person. People really are looking for people that they can impact. So take the opportunity and take the chance. It's scary, but take the opportunity and reach out to that person however you can. These days we all private message. You go into someone's, you slide into their DMs as a young people.
Yeah, that's true.
Message them on LinkedIn, and tell them I really admire what you're doing. Can we have a conversation about it? They'll be happy to share. So if that's something that you're also looking to do, please go ahead and do that. So far as you have a why for why you are reaching out to that person, because you don't want to waste their time. As Crystal said, you don't want to waste time.
You know what you want to get
out of it. Exactly. And please be diligent. As they're teaching you, please put it into practice, because at the end of the day, you want to do something with what you've gained. So very good points from our speakers today. Thank you so much. I've put your resources in the chat now. So Crystal's 2 books, I put the links in the chat. Adenike, you said you're going to send a questionnaire. That questionnaire is also available on her LinkedIn as well. So
Linktree.
Go ahead.
Linktree.
Let me put it. So this is Crystal's one I've put in the chat right now. And if you also wanted to maybe book an appointment with her, you're transitioning or thinking of transitioning into a different sector or career, or you just need some career guidance, please reach out to Crystal. She'll be more than happy to speak to you and give you some guidance. So her website is right there, voriacoach.com. Nice and simple. I'll put it on here as well. That's Crystal here. And she does podcasts as well. So it's also on YouTube. If you go onto her website, you'll be linked onto her YouTube channel. They're very short videos as well. Very short videos. So it's easy to process the information. And then we have Adenike's details here as well. So the questionnaire she mentioned is available on her website, on her Linktree. I keep saying LinkedIn. On her Linktree.
The website is coming.
The website is coming. And we're looking forward to having a book club on, I think, I'll be looking forward to that. We'll have a conversation, definitely. A follow-up. And even with you, Crystal, we have to have a conversation about this whole university situation, because
it's needed.
Some of us have been there. It's a difficult one. So we look forward to having both of you again. And thank you so much for your time today, and for all our guests, for your contributions, your questions as well, and for staying right till the end. Thank you very much. And bless you all, and see you again on No Ordinary Life. Take care. And for us here, it's going to be bye for now.
Bye. Thank you for having